Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tournament of the Old World. We've got Jeffrey the referee sporting his favourite black and red colours here in this, well, rather bleak blasted wasteland here as we go on with the second round of the Vampire Counts in their pre-elimination battle. We've got a battle of the lovers here. We've got Vlad von Carstein, winner of the previous round, taking on Isabella von Carstein, his loving, doting, vampiric wife. Now, Isabella has brought with her in her front line a unit of Black Knights, obviously a particularly powerful undead cavalry unit there, backed up by her front line of some solid skeleton spearmen, a rather not impressively formidable but definitely squishy and absorbent zombies, multiple zombies to be exact, a number of the rather elite Graveguard who perform particularly well in previous battles that we've seen so far, the skeleton warriors, the standard infantry of the low-tier early-game Vampire Counts, a couple of units of them, and finally some Crypt Ghouls who have some nasty rapid attacks able to cause poison, which, as we know in Total War Warhammer, is a debuff rather than something that actually does damage over time. She's bringing her own corpse cart, which is always a smart choice for any Vampire Count's army. Keeps your armies nice and healthy, regenerates some forces. And in the rear line there's another unit of zombies backed by a unit of the rather formidable Crypt Horrors. And hovering above the battlefield is Isabella herself on her spooky steed. They're ready to cast some spells and, if needed, get down into the fray. Vlad, on the other hand, is bringing his own forces, consisting of his own unit of Black Knights, but these are the ones with Lancers and Barding, which means they have a much more improved charge attack, but not quite as good in the melee. So the Black Knights there are going to have an interesting battle. He's also got a force of skeleton spearmen, which are obviously just the spear variety of the standard skeleton infantry. He's bringing his own couple of units of zombos along with him, another unit of skeleton warriors, his own group of Crypt Ghouls, and he's got Graveguard with great weapons. These are obviously more emphasis on higher damage output, but slightly lower resistances because they lack the shields that will keep them going a bit longer. And finally there's a unit of Cairn Wraiths, which, as we've seen, mixed results. They're ethereal, which means they can just kind of ignore some physical attacks made against them, but they can't necessarily dodge them all, and once they start taking hits, they start to crumble fairly quickly. Backing this up is 2 units of Corpse Carts, obviously to cover such a wide army of units. He's smartly got them there together to double up on that healing effect, and there's Vlad himself just going in on foot. So we'll see how this battle goes. Vlad was rolled as the attacker for this one, which means he will be on the offensive, moving forward here in a straight line toward the enemy. Obviously the Vampire Counts don't really have anything in the form of any artillery outside of their own magic casting abilities, so Vlad doesn't have to worry about any of his troops being whittled down from afar. And also the other factor is Vampire Counts don't really have any ranged units at all, unlike the Vampire Coast, which has a nice focus on units that can fire projectiles. And we actually have, speaking of projectiles, the first spell cast by Vlad toward the unit of zombies, or no, it's toward the Graveguard, doing a fair amount of damage there in the early stage, but Isabella returns fire with her own, firing toward his Graveguard unit, and doing a relatively equal amount of damage, about 4 kills apiece there on that particular one. We'll see how this goes. Obviously, Corpse Carts can regenerate some of those losses. You can already see that I believe the Graveguard that he hit with that magic has already fully healed up from the damage that they received. And the charge is made. You can hear the roar there from the desiccated throats of the undead as they go charging forward over on the left flank. The Cairn Wraiths got slammed by the Black Knights there and took quite a lot of hit points there. They have been hit quite hard as the Crypt Ghouls and the Graveguard get charging in there on the Black Knights. We'll see how that goes. This is going to develop into quite a melee as a unit of Skeleton Spearmen now running in to back up those forces along with the Crypt Horrors and a unit of zombies. That's going to be quite a nasty fight over on the left flank. Over in the centre, Vlad has gotten stuck in with his forces. One of his zombie units is already a critical binding after being attacked in the rear by another unit of zombies, but obviously Vlad will probably be able to keep those up and running. The Corpse Carts here maintaining the hit points over on the flank. We've got a unit of Skeleton Warriors taking on some Skeleton Spearmen in a a very interesting fight. It's kind of cool watching. Like, skeletons are just one of the coolest undead, aren't they? There's nothing quite like having a shambling horde of skeleton warriors fighting each other. I mean, zombies are good, obviously, but there's something quite like that classic stop-motion animation of those old films from the 50s and 60s of those skeleton warriors just hacking and slashing. It's always cool. As we can see there, the Grave Guard, they're going to make short work of these skeleton warriors if Vlad's not careful. And they are definitely getting hammered quite hard over on the left flank. We've already just seen that the Cairn Wraiths, I believe, have already started to crumble. We saw another unit there completely disappear. Now, I don't know where his cavalry unit actually went. I'm not quite sure where Vlad's Black Knights with Lancers ended up. They may have been the unit that actually just disappeared quite early on there. It's a bit of a surprise. The Cairn Wraiths are crumbling. This is going very badly here for Vlad, as Isabella is quite comfortable, still just getting stuck in there on the flank. And there go the Cairn Wraiths. They're starting to completely disappear now. The Grave Guard with great weapons, they're also crumbling because they are just being overwhelmed with the amount of power being put against them. But you can even see, just saw a Crypt Horror just slamming one of them into the ground repeatedly before throwing the now, well, literally just a pile of bones away as it continues to smash through. As Black Knights are also still carving away, and then the Skeleton Spearmen. And I don't suspect that these Grave Guard with great weapons will be around much longer, being hit with so many different units. A considerable section of her army has been dedicated to that flank, and it is paying off for her. Meanwhile, in the centre, we've got Vlad taking on Isabella. In fact, the two lovers are having a bit of a tiff as this battle continues, as Vlad's casting some spells there. Now, Vlad arguably may have an advantage. He may be able to do a bit more damage to her. I'm not quite sure. Her mount will give her some bonuses in a one-on-one fight, but Vlad may be viewed as the slightly better of the melee combatants between the two. Though they are both counted as wizards, I believe he does have slightly better overall stats in a one-on-one fight. Obviously, she's got the support of some of her own troops, will be hitting him as well, as his centre line is now also in a state of crumbling and constant damage over time. We've got this entire left flank, which looks very fresh, is just charging around. Obviously, the right flank is doing a little bit better as these zombie units are being kept upright by the corpse cart. But I don't really know if that's going to make really any difference here, as Vlad has now found himself opposite side of his own troops, who are now just being slammed into by a unit of Crypt Horrors. We've got Skeleton Spearmen about to charge in on Vlad as well. It's all looking a bit bad, despite his impressive showing of smacking Grave Guard up into the air. Meanwhile, Isabella is now just in the middle of the zombie horde of Vlad here. I mean, I'm leaning toward this being Isabella's fight. This is hers to lose, definitely. I can't help but feel that, has Vlad purposely made some bad choices here? Did he see that he was up against his good lady wife and decided that he would acquiesce, he would let her have the victory, maybe hoping that she would go on to represent the vampire counts in this battle? I think that could be the case, you know. I think that could be what's happening here. Vlad is a bit of a smoothie. So I've heard. He's got he may have a face that only a mother could love at this point, but he's definitely got genuine feelings there for Isabella, as the flank is starting to, well, literally crumble here, as the Skeleton Spearmen are putting up a valiant fight here against the Skeleton Warriors and the Crypt Ghouls, but I really don't think it's going to make much difference in the end, as the Black Knights, what's left of her Black Knights, charge in, doing big damage there to the zombos in the back, as they're now just getting completely overwhelmed. They've been her zombies have now been buffed with the invocation of Nehek, which means they're healing as well. Not like they need much extra healing. Vlad's force is basically depleted. He's had to summon some extra zombies into the fight. His magical reserves are probably very limited at this point. He's probably struggling just to keep his head above undead putrefied water at this point, as we've also got a unit of Skeleton Warriors. Now, those were quite a way off. I'm not quite sure where they're going. If they're going to go attack Jeff, that might be a bad idea. Jeffrey the referee is a tough fighter, and he is more than capable of defending himself should any random units decide that they want to go take a piece out of him. As we see, the Crypt Horrors have now been directed to go and attack Vlad. This could be a repeat of the previous battle where we saw that Vargulf just smacking Hellman's mayonnaise around the hillsides. The Crypt Horrors are more than capable of slapping a vampire around, that's for sure. They are big, mean, and nasty. And Vlad is currently just taking this like a champ. He's picking up kills. He's doing everything that he needs to on the front line. But unfortunately, when 95% of his army is literally falling apart around him, it's this point. It's already done. I don't really see what else there is to honestly pack in to this fight, other than the fact that Vlad may be able to bring in a couple more zombies. In fact, that might be what he's doing now. He's been hit with the Master of Beguilement. There we go. He is summoning more zombies. In fact, actually, these could be Isabella's. I'll have to see. But you know, he's having a tough time of it. He's been hit with poison. He's got Master of Beguilement, so he's got minus 40 melee attack, which is a big drop in stats for that debuff. We've also got the fact, yeah, his entire army is depleted. He's got this fresh unit of zombies that he's just spawned. They're already going to crimble. Crimble. Oh, they're already going to crumble now. They're pretty much, well, I mean, I'd say they're dead, but they are dead. But you know, they're final dead. They are going to be final death pretty soon. Isabella's even gotten stuck in again as Vlad is just getting punted. He's getting smacked repeatedly in the face. He's getting smacked repeatedly in the face. As we've got Isabella there. I mean, she's just having fun with this at this point. There's probably, you know what? There's probably a cheeky smirk here on Vlad's face. He knows he did this on purpose. He had such a strong showing in that first battle, and he's just allowed this to happen. As Isabella just decides to take flight, hover up in the skies, and watch from above as her hubby just gets absolutely swarmed. Oh, she's diving back into the fight here. Apparently we're losing ground, which is an interesting way of putting that. There's just Vlad as one of 754 troop compared to 901 infantry on the field, and that is it. Vlad has been defeated as the rest of the force scatter to go look for Jeff, as he has called this battle. As we will quit this particular replay and end that battle there. So we'll go over to the stats. As we can see, 753 to 1,079. That's not a bad difference there to pull apart. Obviously, for some reason, the stats aren't showing, unfortunately, because I think because of a patch, the replay thing has been slightly busted, unfortunately. So we can't see the exact stats of what happened in this particular battle, but we can disseminate that clearly. Vlad's forces were on the back foot quite early on. The combination of Crypt Horrors and the Graveguard and her Black Knights did a remarkable job on that flank, very quickly dealing with the Cairn Wraiths and the tying up the Graveguard with great weapons. They may have done a better job had they been in the centre line. They were over in that flank, they were trying to support the Cairn Wraiths. It didn't work out for them, and so for that reason it caused a massive rout that just swept across the field, and we ended up with the result that we got. So Vlad is out. Isabella moves on to the next round of the Tournament of the Old World Vampire Counts. We'll see what happens with that. But until then, have a good one, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.